Hello and welcome to Move Live, presented by SharpStack. I'm Ryan Noonan, joined here as always by Connor Allen, recapping a little bit of week 8, looking ahead to week 9. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, it was almost another incredible week of props for me. And the Falcons, just might never bet on them again. It's now twice. The 2 times we bet on them as pretty heavy favorites, 7 points or more favorites against just the terrible teams. And they end up losing by 30. And so all the props are just a disaster because any reasonable assumption and that you could bet on within the meat of normal game script, you got a first percentile outcome. And we still almost won on all of them. So, but didn't win on either of the ones from that game. So a 5-1 early start turned into a 3-3 one real quick. And so 4-3 right now heading into Monday. Can't complain too much, but I mean, definitely, flip things on its head pretty quick.
I'll do that. What a wild game. It was kind of just a crap slate, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of compelling games. This week 9 slate, which we'll jump into here too. There's a bunch of pretty sizable favorites. Doesn't mean that we can't have compelling football games or some other games, but when you're, the best, really only exciting game coming down to the end is Jets Bengals. It's kind of a rough week. And that's kind of where we were. So for week 8, I'll jump into all that today and more as much as we can. Again, reminder to check out SharpStack, our new suite of betting tools. Great deals right now. Again, free 7-day trial. You can check it out for a additional, I don't even know what our show, we'll say win NBA for an additional week for 10 or a month for $10. So you get 7 days. Basically, you can stack 5+ weeks for $10 with promo code WIN NBA, celebrating the NBA. Again, Sports Equinox today. You can get in there today and fire off a bet on all 4 of the professional sports. Cool. You should, because don't get to do it another time this year. You might not even get to do it next year. We don't get a Sports Equinox every year. So a little World Series action tonight. And then obviously the association, NHL are in play. And then again, we have Monday Night Football where we have a few plays already. Looking for some Patty Mahomes touchdowns and Marcus Mariota to run for, I don't know, $1. I got 50, so that's all I need. 50 for Mariota would be fine. I think it's a nice spot still.
I think I played up to 60 or so. I got I did a Fields alt, Mariota alt, rushing one. I got Fields 260 or 250 passing and rushing combined. And then a Mariota 40 plus rushing. So that would be big. That would be basically to win a full unit would be awesome. So that'd be nice.
Let's get it. Yeah.
Justin, just keeps being a cash cow for me,
Yeah, no, he played okay. He did all right. You talked me into it on Sunday morning in our Sunday morning show. I'm like, all right, I'll build a Fields Breece Hall team, and Breece Hall cooked too. Threw a touchdown pass. You spend a huge chunk on Bijan, that kills that lineup right away. So that's hey, it's DFS in a nutshell. Again, Move Line Reveals to the podcast, 4for4 live on the YouTube channel. You come back and join us on Friday with Slop for Prop Drop. Have a lot of fun there as always. We appreciate everyone hanging out there too. Let's jump into the games, get our takeaways, and then kind of peel them forward as we look at the week 9 board. Boat racing on Thursday night, Chargers 37, Minnesota 10. Think we get the end of Carson Wentz. He was playing hurt through that game too, which was really tough to watch. But, a good spot for the Chargers considering they kind of got boat raced, 3-4 days beforehand by the Colts. Any thoughts on 37-10 Chargers win there against the Vikings?
Carson Wentz was wincing in pain, as you mentioned. Basically every time he fell down, he was wearing some weird contraption on his, I think it was non-throwing arm, right? I think it was his left arm. But all of the talk about the soft benching stuff, I think, can be put to rest. I kind of never really understood that. To be honest, I understood it a little bit if Carson Wentz was, I don't know, someone capable, maybe even a Daniel Jones type or someone who's and he had a chance maybe to resurrect his career at this point, if he really played well. So I thought, okay, well, it's at least possible. I think we've seen enough through a couple games that's not a reality. There's very, very little chance. I think they give JJ McCarthy the rest of the season, basically no matter what, unless he plays like he would have to play worse than he already was. Like he at least turned in a good quarter and a half in his first couple games. He would need to play worse. So I think that's the end of that. And the Vikings continue to be just like a very unique team that plays aggressive defense, and their offense can be good sometimes and can also just be dreadful. Like they couldn't run the ball at all. Then when you have Wentz turning the ball over, taking a bunch of sacks, like it's just tough to do anything. So, and then on the other side of the ball, the Chargers, I just felt like thoroughly dominated, and Kamani Vidal is playing really well. And like, Herbert was kind of finding his way. Helps a ton having a running game for him, I think specifically too. So, overall, I don't think I had too many takeaways outside of the Wentz stuff, honestly, from the Vikings.
Amateur hour muted. Khalil Mack coming back, Joe Alt coming back, I think is, shifted things a little bit there for them. It's an impactful, performance for sure. Really tough slate coming up for Minnesota, and tough for JJ to get his sea legs under him to kind of figure out what's going on here as they kind of get into the meat of their schedule. So real tough spot for Minnesota, who that game just kind of flipped earlier. They had Isaiah Rodgers looked like a pick six, and then, it flipped and they didn't get that call. And it was kind of a buzzsaw for the rest of the game with Chargers. Also, as like Orlando Gatson kind of emerges, like they're legit offensive, firepower there if they can stay healthy. So tough sledding, and the Chargers are, kind of in an easy spot in their schedule with a handful of winnable games heading into the bye. So good spot for them for sure. We'll get to the next one, which I think we kind of touched on at the top. 34-10, Miami Dolphins win in Atlanta. Look, Kirk was bad, real bad. The defense was bad too.
So bad.
Look, Tua just needed to have pink eye or whatever happened. Visor Tua apparently can cook. They ran all over the Falcons. The Falcons had nothing going. I think it's in hindsight really easy to think that if the game script flips and you put Kirk into a trailing game state, what's going to happen? And that's kind of what happened. It was a disaster. So I was really pulling for the Jets to come through because I needed my, the Dolphins to kind of stay alive a little bit in my worst record. And then the Titans played later in the day, but it was a tough scene overall. Any takeaways from Miami and Atlanta?
I think one of the biggest was the Falcons couldn't run. Like there was no holes initially, which led to them falling from behind because they stuck with it for like the first half. I think Kirk Cousins had 8 attempts at halftime, 8 passing attempts at halftime when they were losing by, I don't know, what was it? Yeah, 17-3 at halftime. So like they tried running and they kept trying to stick with it and it just wasn't working. And that was surprising to me because then that, like you said, it opens up the whole new layer of that offense, which is like drop back and pass, 67, 70% of the time with Kirk, which is not where you want to be without Drake London, basically with like a banged up Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts, which even against Miami didn't work out. So that's a problem. I wanted to give a nice big, middle finger to Mike McDaniel for continuing to throw with Tua up 30 in the fourth, busting my Tua under 202. Just meaningless garbage. Very clearly, a lot of small man energy taken out on nothing here because they just been getting shit on for the last 6 weeks. I thought that was a load of crap, but cost me money, Mike. Wish nothing but the worst for you going forward. So, brutal.
I gotta build confidence, Connor. I gotta build some confidence. I will say that it was a little. What were you saying?
No, you could go for it. Go for it.
I was just gonna say that it seemed like such a bad situation. At least they showed up. They could have continued to play. It hasn't felt like the team's quit on him. I guess. I'm just trying to make sense of anything that we saw here. Where it seems like there could have been a locker room imploding situation considering the 2 oppressors and all the stuff that's been going on there. So I guess that's a credit to, I don't know, leaders in the locker room. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. But Falcons have 2 of the worst losses this season, getting absolutely boat raced 30-0 against the Panthers. And then this game against Miami is really tough to make ups and downs of what that team is. They're really, really hard to handicap. They are on the road in New England this week, which would be interesting to see. Miami, where's Miami this week? They keep it going. Let me see where the Dolphins are. Dolphins Thursday night against the Ravens, hosting the Ravens on Thursday night. So, interesting takeaways there. I don't really think there's anything to take away from Miami per se, but they caught, I guess, just a beat up, considering no Drake London, and then with Kirk there, a Falcons team that I don't want to extrapolate that moving forward because it was definitely a quarterback situation, but man, it seemed like a real Jekyll and Hyde at times.
Yeah, I mean, now you have New England, and then you have the Colts. You have to play the Panthers again, which is no easy game. Saints, Jets, so some easy, hypothetically on paper, there are some winnable games, but Miami was a very winnable, 7-point favorites against Miami. That's W on paper for sure. And they lost by 30. And so I don't know. I'm gonna probably just hold off, maybe give it a week on the Falcons or anything Falcons related, because yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. Well, definitely not going to be on the Falcons this week. Let's see the Thursday night game again. It will be the Ravens, who got a win 30-16 against the Bears. Obviously, some shenanigans with the injury reports, limited scout team. That obviously, moved the market quite a bit. Snoop Huntley in this one, again, obviously played significantly better than Cooper Rush had in previous starts. Bears definitely had opportunities to win that football game. A couple of key turnovers, inside the red zone. Just not a crisp Caleb game for sure. Any takeaways here for Ravens, Bears as we move forward?
Yeah, I think I've seen this almost every week. Is Chicago just doesn't capitalize on their early drives, in their red zone drives. So they had 2 awesome drives, from what I remember, and 2 or 3 or early in the game, and they came away with 6 points in the first half, and you put those away, and this is very much a game. It's a very close game, if not a win, basically. And then also I think too, I kind of saw this point going around. This Bears defense is not very good when playing from behind or playing. I don't even know. Neutral game script is not good either. When they're playing from ahead, I think are kind of fun. They get aggressive. They when you put other opposing teams in pass only situations or mostly pass situations. It makes it a lot tougher on him. Tyler Huntley was just having a free 6-7 yards every time he wanted to throw the ball. Basically, it felt like. And then Derrick Henry wasn't super efficient running the ball, but Keaton Mitchell had a couple of just sick runs on the outside, and it felt like the Bears couldn't really stop that. And their defense is not very good when they're injured. That's we know this now. When Kyler Gordon's out, and then their top 3 corners basically are out. It's they're starting Nahshon Wright and a couple other bums, so it's really tough to get much going there. So I think defensively, we knew that they weren't a good team, and this kind of just showed that again. Is we saw the Saints game script where it was just very chaotic, caused a couple turnovers against a bad team, and then you get this one where you're playing from behind and you're not quite able to. It's not as predictable, basically. So if you overexpose yourself, you get Keaton Mitchell up the sideline for 20 yards instead of a sack, right? So. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you saw defensively there. I'm interested in your takes because I have a couple Caleb takes as well, but I'm curious defensively if you saw anything there. It's interesting.
Yeah, as you laid out, I mean, you were without your top 3 corners, and that's a really tough test against, any team. And they struggle with that for sure. And again, a lot of it's been opportunistic in the turnover department. And when that isn't happening, you're not getting a ton of pressure. I do think the run defense will be better than it was early this season. But again, Kyler Gordon comes back and then lands himself back on IR. And teams have been, really picking on Nick McLeod in the slot. We saw that again here with a nice little Zay Flowers game. We'll see really good football teams, including probably this week. I don't know that I would, have the Bengals don't fall into a really good football team. They definitely have the ability to take advantage of a depleted secondary. So it'll be interesting to see how Bears are, between 1.5 and 2.5 road favorites in Cincinnati with a very healthy total as we move to week 9. Again, interested to see what happens on the Thursday night game here with, the quick turnaround with Lamar. The defense was interesting. So they made a trade with the Chargers for Aloy Gilman. heading into the bye, and they had more of a traditional, two deep safety set, and they used Kyle Hamilton as a blitzer. I think he had like 10 edge snaps. They sometimes just kind of use them a little bit like how the Packers were using Micah Parsons last night, just kind of like lurking as, just a linebacker that's threatening the pressure. And then he did a bunch of times, had a ton of success, created some, I think he created 2 different intentional grounding penalties for Caleb in that game, just because Hamilton was unaccounted for. So he's a weapon if they can use him in different ways. Again, Roquan was back. He looks healthy. So again, this is what we've kind of talked about as we turn the corner here on the Ravens. They are minus 105 to win the division now as well, which I think is fascinating. But be interested to see if we get Lamar in the spot. I don't know that it matters because I'm still not really buying what we saw from Miami here, but would love to see if this team can start to turn it around as they get healthy.
Yeah, no, we'll see. They're still not dead yet somehow, just given their division and everything. But yeah, real quick, the Caleb Williams stuff is really tough. Didn't have his best game. Box score looks okay. Obviously, no touchdowns, 1 interception, only 1 sack. But like you said, took a couple of grounding penalties, like missed a couple of throws. The interception they did throw was really bad because it was like in your own 10. So it was basically it was basically like a score flip. Like you go down and score and it's a tie game. Instead, you give the ball to the Ravens to score another touchdown there pretty easily. So it's like the impact of that interception was significantly more than like some random one in like the 40 or 50 even. So that was just like when it was bad. Ben Johnson after the game said that he actually thought Caleb Williams played better than his previous 2 games, which I thought was interesting. And I mean, it continues to be exactly what we thought. His like metrics are really bad. Like completion percentage over expectations, bad. His like, EPA, stuff like that. It's all not good. But it's getting better, I think, in some examples against bad teams. And like, he is going to undoubtedly light up the Bengals. Like this is like inevitable because just like we saw with Justin Fields, like he can be great against bad, complete shitters. And then you get him against a couple of tough matchups where like, they're moving Kyle Williams around and they kind of figure some stuff out defensively and becomes a little bit more uneven. So yeah, I think that he's going to have a great game. And then everyone in Chicago is going to be back on saying he's an MVP. And I think, keeping that steady makes more sense.
Yeah, balanced rushing attack there too. But yeah, like you said, it was not just the turnovers and the intentional groundings. It was like the situations when they happened, they made it even a little bit worse. So made it for a pretty tough scene. So, all right, next we had, I don't know, say surprising. Like, I don't think we were buying the Carolina Panthers, but the Bills lost 2 straight heading into the bye. Carolina had won 3 straight. They seemed to kind of solidify their rush defense a little bit and were playing better up front again, albeit against worse rushing units than the Buffalo Bills, 40-9. And James Cook absolutely did exactly that. He got it going. He was fantastic. Again, I think untouched 64-yard touchdown, just a couple other huge runs in that game. You did have a couple of guys get back here for the Bills. Larry Ogunjobi, Michael Holt, guys that they had signed in free agency, both got dinged for PEDs and were suspended for the first 6 games. Both came back and played, I think, significant snaps. And like Holt in particular had a bunch of pressures. I think he had 1.5 sacks. They lost Ed Oliver in this game. I don't know what that's going to look like moving forward because we saw early in the season when they did not have Ed Oliver, that was a pretty impactful situation. Again, you thought Carolina would be able to gash this team, especially again, Oliver out in the second quarter. They were missing their starting 2 linebackers in this game. Carolina's been running the football. Again, the game got flipped and it ended up being a lot of Andy Dalton. That's kind of like a lot of Kirk Cousins, probably never the right recipe in 2025.
And they came out after too, talking about the Rico Chuba split. Now we have 2 games of Chuba Hubbard coming off injury and them splitting work. Rico's just been so much more efficient. 8 carries, 54 yards. Chuba Hubbard, 12 carries for 34 yards, 2.8 versus 6.8 yards per carry. Kind of same story last week. But the coaching staff said, like, he said, we respect what Rico's done Chuba's done for the team. And he's like a leader. But we have to take notice of,
too.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, we have to take notice of Rico. So that's what he said there specifically. And so I don't know. I think this is the Bills are still a dominant team. The Panthers, the fact that they're 4-4 is crazy. They're they're a very bad team.
There. No, it's not good. And like significantly worse, obviously, without Bryce Young. Not that Bryce is like carrying them, but Andy Dalton, we're definitely on the wrong side of it. That's, we saw it with I thought Flacco. I'm surprised that Flacco's been as solid as he's been, because Flacco last year was such a disaster. Turns out, having Jamar Chase and just literally stuffing 15 to 18 targets his way can kind of help you a little bit. That's not something that really Andy Dalton had the ability to. It wasn't something that Kirk Cousins had access to either. And then this game just got kind of out of hand real quick. Like, nice chunk. Dalton Kincaid, absolutely loved that play. Nice big chunk play of Dalton Kincaid early. And we basically just didn't see him the rest of the game. He didn't need him. He barely played, and this game was like flipped early. I'm like, oh, that play is dead, because there's just no punch back from the Panthers. So how you can lose props pretty easily and feel like you have a pretty good handicap, and just dead on arrival.
What was crazy to me was I had the Keon Coleman under 3.5 receptions, and it almost lost because Trubisky was still throwing in the fourth quarter. So he targeted Keon Coleman like 3 times in the last drive, and I was like, no way! Like, are we gonna really lose this on backups? Like, this would be rough. So thankfully snuck it out, but like, it was such an unnecessary sweat. Like, Josh Allen had like 20 attempts.
Panthers are 12.5, 13-point road dogs in Green Bay. That's not an exciting handicap. But Chiefs in Buffalo, definitely the best Week 9 game for sure, which is a fascinating one, with the Bills home dogs, between 1 and 1.5, which is really interesting. 51.5 is the total there as well. Any early thoughts on Chiefs Bills here for Week 9? Again, not knowing what to make of the Chiefs here, obviously playing tonight as we record here on a Monday afternoon, but obviously we think pretty highly of the Chiefs now that they kind of have all the pieces back in place.
Yeah, and as you brought up, the Bills defense a little bit banged up there, because like, if the Chiefs can get a running game going, right? Like, Isaiah Pacheco's been playing a little bit better. If they can get a running game going against this Bills team, it's going to be really tough for them to stop the Chiefs. And so it's basically just going to rely on Josh Allen being a superhero, which I think is possible. So probably no take on the side. I'll be definitely interested in some Josh Allen props. Probably betting some overs on like some of the pass catchers, some of those guys. I think that could make a lot of sense. Maybe a sneaky James Cook under. Who knows? It's also possible, which might get an inflated line after a 200-yard outing. Like, I don't know what we're gonna get, but it could be a sneaky one there. So we'll see. I think that's probably where my head's at. Do you have any early takes?
I want to see, I want to see a little bit of tonight. But I think Kansas City's a buzzsaw. Yeah, it's probably not a side that I'm going to bet into. Though I'm interested to see if Kansas City plays with their food a little bit. You could see this kind of flip back the other way. You could see it get to a pick 'em. So I don't think there's, again, if you like the Bills side, I think taking the points now, I don't think there's anything that happens on Kansas City side where this gets bigger towards Kansas City, right? It is probably just one-way action. It holds at 1.5 or moves towards a pick. So if you like the Bills, no harm in jumping into it now.
Would you consider Chiefs Super Bowl?
51. I think Chiefs Super Bowl is a fantastic bet right now. I do. I hate that I think that, but
yeah, I don't think we've ever bet the chalk Super Bowl winner, like, ever, maybe in this show history. But I actually think that this is like kind of a good bet. Like, I think they might be underrated at plus 550, 5-1, pretty widely available.
I totally agree. I thought, again, they haven't played yet. So even when I opened it up today, I thought that it would look different. I mean, look, if you look at the odds, Colts are a pretty massive favorite to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. We're not worried about Mahomes in January going to Indy against that secondary. And again, I don't want to take away anything that the Colts are a wagon. Offensively, they're, the total will be 54, something, like seismic, and as it deserves to be. But man, again, if you were telling me that what we know of now, the Chiefs is going to be intact moving forward, yeah, as a complete chalk donkey to double dip. I'm just I'm always thinking about how can I get access to better Scotty Scheffler numbers. I put it in our Discord jokingly. I'm like, because I did. I bet it. I got 29 Chiefs Scotty Scheffler Masters parlay just to get access. I would love to have a 29 on Scotty in April. I'm not going to pay 320 for that or whatever that price is going to be. So that's an appealing future way to mess around with some account management stuff where you want to donk off some future bets. But yeah, I agree. I think 5-1 is actually a pretty decent bet. Because what's it going to be if they beat them? They go to Buffalo and win 3.25.
Yeah, I think probably like 4 probably, but like it'll be lower for sure. Like it's just going to keep getting lower and lower and lower. Like, I mean, this is like their toughest matchup, right? So then it's like, well, they have Denver, Indy, Dallas. So a couple more tough games. Like maybe they drop one of those. It's possible. Denver again later, but then they have like, some shitters, Tennessee and the Raiders last couple of weeks. So I don't know. It's
as currently constructed that the Dallas is a shitter. Dallas is a shitter as currently constructed for in that matchup.
For sure. Yeah, they're toast. Like I mean, the Chiefs can score as many points as they want on Dallas.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving Day. That'll be fun. Yeah, I think they're a good bet. Again, it's hoping that can ail us from the garbage week 8 slate because Chiefs Bills late Sunday afternoon spot. Considering that the other 2 games in that late window are Jags Raiders and Saints Rams, we're going to need Chiefs Bills to do some heavy lifting there in the afternoon on Sunday. So should not disappoint. Again, the only game that didn't disappoint this past week was the Jets and Bengals game. Really exciting watch. Bengals were up by 2 scores late. You called it. We were going to have a decent Justin Fields game. They were trying to replace him. I don't know if they can replace him now. He got off the schneid. Didn't take a sack. Didn't turn it over. Tough spot for the Bengals to not be able to get home and not get a sack on Justin Fields, considering how he's been playing. But Breece Hall looked really good. Mason Taylor played some decent ball. The Jets defense was atrocious as we would expect, but they outscored him in the end, and that's all it takes. I don't think we have any concrete takeaways, but anything that you want to kind of touch on as we move forward from this one?
No, I want to make sure though that people know that this is not a reason to be like back on the Justin Fields train. Like this is so much more to do with the Bengals and so little to do with Justin and this offense. Like Breece Hall and anyone should have success against this Bengals defense. Justin Fields should have success against the Bengals. Joe Flacco, I think, still continues to play pretty well. Like, again, not surprising against the Jets either, so we don't want to overrate that specifically. But in good matchups, I think he can play reasonably well. Jamar Chase, 19 targets. I mean, sounds like a typo, but like it's crazy with what he's seeing right now. So another 12 receptions for 91 yards, just getting the ball in his hands as much as possible, which is awesome. So cool to see. So I wouldn't say that there's much takeaways. Like it was kind of like the upper echelon of what I expected to be possible from like if both offenses played all right. They played pretty well, and they did, so like they played well, and their defenses are just so bad. And right now, I think there's a couple of teams where like their defense is so bad that can even like support good offenses. And I think this is a prime example of that, or support bad offenses. And this is a prime example of that.
Yeah, their Jets are on a bye, so we don't have any real Jets applications for week 9. Again, Bengals hosting the Bears, and they are, between 1 and 2.5 at home there. So again, and I think they'll have success. It could be another spot where you just absolutely pepper Jamar Chase with targets. I feel like we're going to see like 8.5 receptions as his line, which is pretty crazy. You just don't see 8.5 very often. Very few guys get to 7.5, but I think you can honestly post at 8.5 and it not be the wrong play.
I don't disagree with it.
I'm not saying it's a bet.
No,
I'm just saying it's like the market. Like you never see both, 8.5 posted as a reception line.
Yeah, like I mean, I think the last time we saw that is like Michael Thomas with the Saints days, kind of around then. Maybe some Puka stuff. No, but Puka's like 7.5.
Oh, Puka,
mostly.
remember? Yeah, we were betting Puka 6.5 first few weeks of the year, which is crazy. 7.5 is I mean, this week we opened 7.5 juiced. It crawled up a little bit, but it was like, it opened at like 7.5 minus 140, 145. Too low. So it's gonna get some action. All right. Houston 26-15 against the Niners. Niners just began taking a beating. They're rolling out, the B and C team defensively. This is a tough spot. Like, there's going to be games like this occasionally where the Texans defense is it's so good. Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson Jr. absolutely wreaked havoc in this game. Even when they didn't get home, they created a ton of pressure. Like, watching this game, I couldn't think of in the first halftime. Like, I couldn't think of any, did the Niners have the ball? Like, I just couldn't remember the Niners really having the ball or doing anything. I don't think they got a first down until inside of a minute on their 2-minute drive just before the half. Just couldn't get anything going. Even without Nico Collins, CJ Stroud played a pretty decent game. But again, this is just a depleted Niners team. I don't want to take a ton away really for either side, considering the kind of the matchup here. But, good spot for the Texans. Showed up and beat, the Niners pretty handily here. Any thoughts?
I mean, the Niners ran only 44 plays total. We talked about this with one of the other games, the Raiders game the week prior. It's like you get these random outliers of games where, 44 plays is crazy low. They had almost no plays in the first half. And part of it was to do with two things. The Texans were able to consistently run on the ball and have success, not, explosive plays, but just 5 yards here, 7 yards here. And it just kind of rolled into the situation where the Niners couldn't get off the field. And then when they got the ball, the Texans defense is still really good and they played well, and they're facing a Niners offense that's pretty beat up. So it's basically just CMC, only 8 carries here. Juwan Jennings being back is interesting, or healthier, I think, is interesting. Led the team in receptions and targets here after last week where he was basically a decoy. So I think he could be an interesting watch in the prop market going forward. To be honest, we get some more outlier pass attempt games from Mac Jones, which you've seen some crazy passing yard ones there. So I think he's one to watch specifically, but otherwise, this Niners team 5-3, just limping along, probably still going to make, the playoffs and be fine just because their schedule's fairly easy here going forward. But yeah, Giants, hit Cardinals, Panthers, Browns, Titans, Bears, all still to come. There's a couple of tougher, I would say coin toss games coming up, but again, you probably win most of those still overall.
Texans were able to protect CJ Stroud. They allowed season low pressure rates. Niners did everything they could to try to generate any pressure. Again, lost Nick Bosa, you lost Fred Warner. They didn't have Bryce Huff. He's been really good this year. They did not have Bryce Huff for this game. They tried kitchen sink and really couldn't get it done. And again, that's kind of one of the bugaboos for the Texans, right? If you get a team that has average to above average pressure, donezo. Leads me to one of my favorite looks on next week's slate. Broncos are also a team that can be really tricky because I just don't know what to make of them sometimes. And again, this Texans defense is legit. But I think the Broncos can really wreak havoc defensively against this offensive line. Broncos are short road favorites in Houston. I like Denver. Which again, it's tricky. Bo Nix on the road, considering Bo Nix has not been great at times, but sometimes their ceiling outcomes is I think sometimes pretty exciting too. So, but yeah, I worry about what they do with that Broncos defensive front.
I think the under in that game is pretty interesting too. 39.5 is already a pretty low number, but
Sure.
the Broncos offense has been legit bad against any reasonable opponent. Texas defense already, we've said awesome. And we mentioned heading into last week that the Broncos defense didn't necessarily match up super, super well against this Cowboys offense, just for receiver wise and what you could do. Surtain kind of bounced in and out. They still ended up playing pretty well, against them, and just put them on the 8 ball, and it was kind of over from there. But I think they do match up kind of well against this Texans team because you can put Surtain on Nico as long as Surtain's healthy. He was out. He missed the end of the last game, but and then Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, and Xavier Hutchinson got to beat the rest of your guys. And I would probably take the Broncos starting corners straight up over any of those guys pretty easily. So, I mean, it's basically going to come down to, can they stop the run? Can they win in the trenches? Which I would say most teams have not had a problem with that against the Texans. Outside of like the occasional, mass win against the Ravens C team. And then, the Texans beating up on, again, the 49ers, whatever B/C squad that you got going on up there. So, I don't see a clear path to either team moving the ball particularly well. So definitely lean Broncos and under there.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. Yeah, I feel like the Texans are, it's definitely one of the best defensive units in the league, but when they put you in a spot where it's really clear what you have to do here to survive, they put you in a trailing game script and you have to pass and you really can't protect. Like Mac Jones didn't play well. He just also didn't have time either. So, if you kind of get into neutral scripts that you're talking about, you can run on the Texans a little bit more, but man, they will cook you if it is clear passing situations like we saw last week. So yeah, I like Denver there. We'll get to them here shortly. Next is the Patriots 32-12 against the Cleveland Browns. Frustrating first quarter, first half even. They're like back-to-back possessions where Josh McDaniels went run, punt. Like I don't even know how that is ever in the range of outcomes for the game script. Is like you're the worst efficiency wise, you're the worst running team in the league. Going against the Browns, the one thing that they do very, very well. You got a young quarterback that's cooking. They eventually figured it out, especially in the second half, and just turned him loose. And Drake May was awesome. Now, Myles Garrett was also awesome. Look at just the best defensive player in the league. It sucks to have that happen where he's kind of stuck. Hopefully we have lots of Woody Harrelson, wipe your tears away with the money, responses this week, which I think are applicable. But he was dominant, but not enough. Drake May just continues to find ways to get it done. Doesn't matter who the receiver is. Doesn't matter if they have a running game. They did have a little bit of a running game eventually here, but Pats continue to cook.
I mean, imagine having 5 sacks in a game and losing by 20. That is just really tough. So, poor Myles Garrett. I mean, again, it's the money thing. He had an option to leave. He could have easily, maybe not an option, but he could have easily forced his way out of Cleveland. I think
could have not signed and eventually could have left. Yeah.
Right? It was definitely an option. There was a rift between the team, and then they offered him a fat contract, and he's like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. I'll stay. Drake May, I think your handicap of the Drake May passing yards thing panned out perfectly. Had a bunch of long bombs. Was able to expose the Browns deep downfield when they were too aggressive. Matt Collins 7 for 89 is a wild stat line there specifically. I think that's kind of crazy considering Matt Collins' career. But Trayvon Henderson showed a little bit sign of life. I think did fumble if I remember correctly though.
He did.
They also elevated Terrell Jennings from the practice squad to the permanent roster. I would guess that Terrell probably sees a good bit more work this week. Ramondre Stevenson just continues to be the biggest jag of all time. Need to get this guy off the field. Should be Terrell it should be Trayvon Henderson mostly, and then some Stevenson in 3rd and shorts maybe. And then I don't know, give Terrell Jennings a chance. Who cares? Henderson's played well this game, but hasn't really done much besides that. So I don't know, give some other guys a chance because the passing game right now and Drake May is playing just awesome.
And rookie Will Campbell's been awesome. And then, sometimes you get sons, sometimes just the alpha boss comes and shows you here's what's available to you when you start to play the alphas. So, but just to your point, the Matt Collins stuff, it doesn't really matter. I still think it's a below average pass catching core, but we're getting, good games out of Stephon Diggs. We saw both Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper make plays in this game. Kayshon Boutte, another long 39-yard touchdown catch in this game. So they're just figuring it out. May's numbers against pressure, his numbers on deep balls, his numbers against the blitz are through the roof. It's 13% completion percentage over expectation. Blitz is the most in the league. Atlanta Falcons, who they play this week. So good luck, Atlanta. I think we see some more Drake May fireworks and deep shots here in this game. So like I said, New England 5.5 point favorites at home against the Falcons. Whereas we think the Browns on a bye. Yeah, Browns are on a bye for week 9. They can figure it out. They can answer all the questions about when do we see Shedeur. Good luck. I mean, that's exactly probably why they didn't want to draft Shedeur at that point. Is like now it just is. That's all you're going to hear until he actually gets to start.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because now you have like I don't even know what week number this is of like teams not being able to run on the Pats, becoming one dimensional, and like not being and like just putting the Pats putting themselves in a really good position to like make an opposing team one dimensional, and like even a Browns team that we've seen jam Judkins like 25 times, only had 9 carries. He did end up getting injured, like a shoulder injury, but that wasn't until like the I don't know mid third or late third, early fourth, if I remember correctly. So it was like later in the game. So, I mean, the running game was dead long before he left. And so I do think that's kind of interesting there. And the Browns just like, I don't know if we've had enough of a sample size of Dillon Gabriel yet. I kind of think, in my opinion, we just kind of know he's not it, but I don't know. Maybe it's too early.
I think we kind of know he's not it.
Okay.
We'll see. I mean,
I don't know. He's a mid-round rookie, but like he has decent talent around him. It's not like
totally.
he's no one.
I think we know that he's not it, but I understand you want to give him a little bit of a longer leash. Like you can't take him. I just think you got to give him a little bit more. That's all. You want to get the answers to the Shedeur question. You have plenty of time, right? It's going to be week 9. You get week 10 bye. You got a bunch of games left. 8 games. You get time to get the answers. So you give, I think Gabriel 2-3 more starts. If it's really bad or you don't see improvements, it's pretty easy to justify the move to Shedeur. So. I like the Pats. I do worry a little bit about Bijan as a pass catcher in that game against Robert Spillane and some of the Patriots linebackers. But overall, I still think Drake May is able to take advantage. But Jesse Bates got dinged up in that game too. If Jesse Bates misses in the back end for the Falcons, who are already pretty inexperienced in the secondary, that could be a spot where Drake May could have a field day. All right. Next in the NFC East, the Eagles 38, Giants 20. Running back injuries in this game with both Saquon going down with a groin injury, popped off a big one. Looked like he was having probably his best game of the year. And obviously we lost Cam Scatabo here for the Giants, lost for the year. Brutal injury, the old Moises Alou injury. Just his leg is bending this way. He was actually looking for his teammates to like pull him up. He's like reaching up, like, buddy, maybe just stay on the ground. Maybe just let the professionals come out and see what's going on here. Again, respect the dog in him, but you probably just sit there. But again, teams continuing to run rampant on the Giants, which I think you'll kind of continue to see here. Any thoughts on Eagles Giants?
Yeah, there was a couple of down games against the Giants run defense. Like they started off, I think you mentioned earlier in the season, like historically bad, basically as a run defense. And then had a couple of games where they were okay, just like fine. And then now we're completely exposed by the Eagles. Tank Bigsby killed him. Saquon killed him while he was healthy. Dart, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I just don't really know what to do with him ever. He's going to win some games he probably shouldn't, and is probably just going to look bad in a couple of others. Like, I think that's pretty reasonable expectation. I think overall didn't run that much this week, which was disappointing. Obviously, that a prop on him. I kind of thought they were going to spy him, but they spied him like literally every single play. They had a linebacker just like sitting in zone, and they didn't run that much design stuff. So, when that happens, you're just not going to end up running that much. So, makes sense there. And then his pass catcher is just like he has no dependable guy. I don't think Wandale's fine. Slayton played for the first time. He had a couple of deep shots there that were really close, like a couple of really close ones. So I don't know. We'll see. I think in the future, they'll probably connect on one or two of those and maybe easier matchups.
Yeah. He had one called back for what I thought was pretty clearly offensive pass interference, and they did call it. He just, they're running down the field, and he just, really initiates contact just before separating at the end. And, wasn't great. But yeah, that's viable for him. That's kind of how he wins anyway. That's the whole thesis behind, any Slayton plays. It's just, that's how he wins. So yeah, I think we saw a pretty intentional, deliberate, maintain your lane kind of strategy as the Eagles like pressured him to keep Jackson Dart like not giving him any really clear rushing lanes. And I think that's why we saw the rushing numbers dip a little bit.
Is that
yeah?
It wasn't like a
Yeah,
full
like
version of that,
you're
but
trying to rush.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah. But everyone just kind of hold your spots, maintain it, see if anyone can win initially off the jump, and then otherwise, let's not make sure we're not getting too far out of the way to break anything down. So we'll see. Eagles are on a bye. I'll see if they get AJ Brown back, whereas the Giants are on be Monday night, right? They're hosting the Cardinals. Not an exciting island game here. Cardinals Giants thoughts?
That could be a
Same.
game that the Giants win.
Yeah,
I mean, what's
Cardinals
the
are good.
let's hear what's the spread? Mid-show sneeze there.
Bless
That's
you.
great.
Hefty,
I know that was
hefty total 53.
53.
Yeah, it's a big total.
I mean, wow.
I mean, we're going to take advantage of that defense, but it seems like a lot.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Cardinals.
What am I missing?
That is big. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's just like. I mean, are the Cardinals capable of scoring that?
Seems like too many.
Yeah, it seems like a lot. That's
the point, right? Like
this is an old school total
lot.
right here. This is the NFL's back. We got a 53.5 point total. We got a 51.5 in the Bears Bengals. Like all the shitty team overs here. Ravens Dolphins is 50 in some spots. I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's good to be back, I guess.
Yeah, it's a few this week. Big double-digit favorites and some upper 40s into the low 50s totals. Definitely didn't see that for the first month or so. All right, NFC South battle. We had battle. 23-3 Buccaneers win in New Orleans. Not a very impressive performance from either club. Did see maybe feels like the end of the Spencer Rattler era. Which probably makes sense. Really, like one of the all-time just disrespectful like pick sixes. Anthony Nelson just jumps up, tips it, catches it, stiff arm Spencer Rattler, and then just shuffles in for a touchdown. It was just pretty tough scene for Spencer Rattler. Again, tough Bucks game here too. They didn't look particularly sharp, but again, they're missing so many pieces there as well. But again, you got to take advantage of the games that you get and win by margin. They did so here. Any thoughts on Bucks and Saints?
Is the Saints run defense like kind of fine, or because this has been like they've strung together like a couple of games now where they've not been that bad?
Yeah. They get some guys up front that are playing pretty well. Linebacker core has been okay. Their secondary is a problem, but I don't think I would say that they're probably slightly above average in that range. Yeah, they've been decent up front. I think getting Chase Young back has been Chase Young played really good football last year and like didn't fill the stat sheet at all. The other side, like Carl Granderson is probably one of the more underrated defensive ends in the league. Some of the guys up front have been pretty solid. And again, Mario Davis is like 37 years old, but his like advanced metrics are all really solid. Slightly inefficient tackler, but in terms of like run stops where like he stops the play and like feeds the tackle to someone else, he grades out pretty well like PFF for stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that they're above average as a run stopping team.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like the Tyler Shugg experience so far. I mean, again, 30 attempts, came in like whatever halftime ish. I think a little after second quarter, something like that. 4.3 yards per attempt, 2 sacks. Threw a pick. Wasn't particularly good. I didn't go back and watch the tape. I was just like kind of watching corners. I don't think to be fair, I don't think it's fair to like judge someone off of a halftime game where you're losing, and you have to throw the entire game.
Sure.
And I think Alvin Kamara got injured too at some point. So I don't think it's like a fair shake there to judge, but certainly watch that going forward. And then, yeah, like if you have, Saints lost their other running back as well, Kendre Miller, Alvin Kamara, TBD there. I think got hurt a couple of things. Saints need to be in full like selling, rebuilding mode if they're not already. Also shout out to us, one of our official plays, 5.5 wins for the Saints. I don't think they're going to get there. A couple more games and that seals that up. But and the Bucks, you said, just didn't play all that well offensively. Got there mainly because of defensive stops and the pick six.
I think they were probably, I don't know what the total number is. They were at least like, I want to say like 7 or 8 1 yard attempts, like first and goal from the one,
Oh yeah.
where the Bucks could not get home. It was like, and they tried Sean Tucker, they tried Rashad White, and like it just it blows my mind that teams we still do this in the league. And we were just joking about it. The first time that they did it and they got stuffed all in one is literally they're all running bunch jumbo formations. I just don't understand why teams do this. It's like, hey, let's bring everyone in this really small condensed area and make it a coin flip that our big guys beat their big guys, right? Like, even though you're really playing 10 on 11 because your quarterback's not doing anything, you can like bring linebackers over the top. It's insane to me that they do it. And then their answer to it failing the first couple times, the next time they got down to the one is you take someone, split them out wide, and you just run a stupid like just jump ball fade. And it's like that is also you can run slants. You can actually run like mesh concepts and stuff at like the goal line and like try different stuff. Like I don't understand why there are two options. If you're an offensive coordinator, I can either just run jumbo or I just have to throw a one-on-one like jump ball to a guy on the outside. And it was like Sterling Shepard. Like it's not like yeah, I don't understand.
Awful.
There's got to be some 20-year-old Madden experts that would be better. Just like consulting in that moment is like, here's what's optimal. Like here's what you shouldn't do, right? You shouldn't run jumbo and you shouldn't just run the fade. I don't understand it, but hey, they got an extra week to figure it out. They're on a bye. Saints are on the road, getting the Rams coming off of a bye, which is a tough spot. Rams are full 2 touchdown favorites there, which is tough scene. Probably get Puka back. Nice little trade for them today. Roger McCreary, one of the only good players on the Titans defense. And they decided they wanted to part ways with him. So cool. Good move, Titans. Continue to make smart decisions there. But yeah, the Rams are kind of a wagon if Stafford's playing well and healthy.
Yeah, I mean they're going to absolutely dominate the Saints here. That's like,
yeah.
I mean it's going to be a rough one.
Let's see afternoon stuff here. 44-24 Denver against Dallas. This is going to happen in Dallas, right? Like Dallas is also like insanely depleted in the secondary. The secondary is bad to begin with, and they were missing, both starting safeties and a starting corner. And then if you just have these situations where like there's so much pressure on Dak to be outstanding, and if just Dak's not that guy, then they have absolutely no shot. And that's what happened here. Just didn't have a good day. Was pressured, wasn't crisp, and this game wasn't even as close as a score. Any thoughts on Broncos Cowboys?
No, because they scored in the fourth quarter, like a late touchdown. Yeah, it just wasn't Dak's day. Bo Nix and the Broncos predictably played well against I think another defense that qualifies as like a really bad team that can prop up basically anyone. When you run into a Denver offense that hasn't really played all that well, but I think has potential and has upside. They're obviously going to do fairly well here. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception for Bo Nix. J.K. Dobbins got going on the ground. Felt like he just had like consistent like 10, 15-yard runs a couple times. And R.J. Harvey had a nice big burst too. 2 touchdowns. One was a direct snap, which was hilarious too. Their usage continues to be just absolutely wild. Troy Franklin also got going as well on the Broncos side, which I thought was cool to see again. And then Pat Bryant playing more too. Marvin Mims again just remains like an enigma. We just have no idea what we're going to see from Marvin Mims on a week-to-week basis. So more Sean Payton shenanigans there. And on the Cowboys side, just I would say not too many takeaways. They played a tough defense. They didn't play all that well overall. And they got put behind early. And, it's just tough to win from there.
Yeah. I misspoke. The Giants are hosting the Niners. That Monday Night Football game is the Cardinals Cowboys.
Yeah.
You're probably like, what the hell is he talking about? So yeah, still, I mean, 53-54, it makes a little bit more sense considering that, Dallas's offense is involved, but I'm still worried about the Cardinals pushing that. But any thoughts or, on the Cowboys as we move forward? Again, Dak, just such a burden on Dak's shoulders.
Yeah, no, I see you said that. And then I was like, well, that's crazy. And then I looked and I was like, wait, oh, okay. It's Cardinals, but still I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Cardinals are very good either. So, but maybe, again, I don't want to break my rules. I just said that the Cowboys defense can prop up anyone. So, I can't be going back against what I just said. But I mean, the Cardinals, I want to continue fading them, but it is a problem when it's just basically Dak Prescott carrying the team. I think that Javonte could have a decent week against the Cardinals, though. Like, it could be a more balanced overall output. And then Dallas, going forward, like we're getting, they got the bye in week 10. I think should be fully healthy for a stretch that's really uneven. It's like, you got the Raiders, but then you got Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, really tough 3-game stretch there. Minnesota, who knows what they'll be at that point. Chargers, kind of same thing. And then Washington and Giants. So it's like a couple of teams that are like borderline contenders / have also played randomly awful from time to time. And then a couple bad teams and like just a really tough 3-game stretch. So probably some, season defining moments there to come, I think, probably after the bye.
Yeah, tough sledding for them. Again, they're going to have to win those games that have 50-point totals, basically, right? Any opponent that they're up against that has a pulse offensively really has a shot to put up a pretty big number. So the pressure for Dak to carry them into 35 plus is pretty high. You can do it against the Cardinals, that's for sure. All right, another wagon. The Colts 38-14, another game that was not as close as the score indicates. Just continues to get it done. I mean, Jonathan Taylor has been awesome. Daniel Jones has been as good as you could ask for. Their defense continues to find ways to get it done. Titans are terrible. Again, just weak punts. I mean, punting, that like scenario where they like should have gone for a really bad 3rd down play. They're in Colts territory. It's early in the third, mid through the third. You're down 10. You're not winning many football games. Like, what are you doing? And you punt flies into the end zone. So you had no shot at actually downing them inside. Like, oh, we're just going to pin him back. Nope. Ball to 20, first play, handoff, 80-yard Jonathan Taylor touchdown. Just like impossible 3 minutes of, real time for Titans fans. I can't imagine just knowing that that's just the end of it. If you thought you had a pulse in that game, it was over real quick here. Any takeaways from this one?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but Cam Ward started yelling at the coaches after that happened. He's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, phrasing this kindly. He's like, what are we doing? Why are we punting? Like, that's
keeping it a buck, man.
Yeah, keep it a buck, we ask. That's a infamous quote there from Cam Ward. This Colts team, it looks like Pittsburgh on the road and then Atlanta, 2 teams that I think are very gettable for them, specifically the Steelers defense, who I think disappoints in a lot of ways here down the stretch. And then, Atlanta, I just, we've talked about this top. I have no idea. Depends what we get from them. Could really go either way. The Colts run defense is not very good, but neither was the Dolphins. Or the Panthers. So don't know there, but then they get a little bit of the Colts at Kansas City. Going to be a very interesting one. That one's going to be a fun one right out of the bye. So I don't know. I mean, Colts right now plus 170 be the number 1 seed. You mentioned that earlier as well with like them being favorites. Plus 170 is pretty rich, even though I know they're 7-1.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a couple of closer games on the stretch than who they played earlier, because in hindsight, the teams they played so far, not very good. And the teams they play going forward, at least a couple of, I would say, better teams. Yeah,
the Bills, like if you like the Bills in the Chiefs game next week, I think you probably have a shot to just take Bills number 1 seed. Again, the Bills have the same record as the Pats, and the Pats have the one up on them. They both have a pretty easy, soft schedule, right? You could also take Pats to be number 1 seed if you're full on Pats believer, like 7-1. But Bills, I do agree with you. Like the Colts numbers, I don't think something you can bet considering some of the matchups that they have coming up. So again, their schedule is a lot more difficult than what the Bills and New England faces as we kind of round into November, December here. So Colts on the road against Pittsburgh next week, another healthy total, 49.5 in that game. 3 pretty much across the board for the most part. And Titans are, I don't even know where they're hosting the Chargers. They're 10-point dogs. So any thoughts on either of those 2 games next week?
I mean, Chargers are just going to absolutely punish the Titans, especially on the ground. Like, I don't even think they're going to have to throw the ball that much there, to be honest, especially with their offensive lineman back, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, it's just there's night and day difference for them and like how much time Herbert had to throw when he did have to, which helped his ADOT, turn from a quick passing game to be able to, shred it downfield. And then the Steelers, I don't know, man. I just like they played well for a lot of last night's game, and then the Packers, maybe it was more of the Packers kind of figuring it out offensively, but like they just started really dominating their defense kind of down the stretch, and the Steelers just decided to stop running the ball. Like they were crushing on the ground with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. And then I don't know if Rodgers just decided I'm not doing that anymore. And they fell behind by like 3 points and then just threw it like 75% of the time in the second half. And it didn't work out for them at all. So, I mean, they just don't have the guys to do that. Like I think Rodgers still kind of got it in some capacity.
I do too. Yeah.
But he, like, when you're throwing to DK Metcalf's good, but not like good enough for what he needs. Calvin Austin's not good enough. Freiermuth, Jonnu, Darnell, like pretty ragtag bunch there.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of jumbo sets. I think that's probably their best path to beating the Colts here too. Is kind of leaning on Rodgers and having him try to cook here a little bit. So it'll be interesting game. I mean, I worry about the Steelers defense holding up. We just haven't seen it. Like it hasn't been there all season long. Good running teams have been able to kind of dictate whatever they want to do against them. And Jonathan Taylor's kind of a unit right now. So that'll be a tough spot for them for sure. And yeah, no interest in anything that's going on in Tennessee there. So, all right, last game. We just kind of touched on it. The Packers 35, Steelers 25. Again, Jordan Love sometimes just looks so uneven. But then there's sometimes like this where he just can absolutely get the ball going and pushing downfield. Utilizing a lot of yak here as they get kind of healthy too. Again, still, not fully healthy with, Reed still to come back. But again, that offense has some upside. The defense still has some dogs. They get healthy. They get some guys back this week. Any thoughts on Packers Steelers?
Yeah, I think Jordan Love kind of, I don't know if started slow is the right word, but completed over 20 plus in a row at one point in the game last night, which was just insane. Like he was getting stuff going underneath, a lot of like dump offs to Kraft that he was just like, bullying his way downfield. So I mean, we've said it since the beginning, like this Packers offense, if things are clicking, like they're just an elite unit. They're one of the best in the league. Getting Christian Watson back, I thought was good too. They continue their receiver rotation. Golden taking a bit of a back seat here. Wicks was out. I don't know if do we have an updated Jaden Reed timeline? Like when he's coming back, like never, is he done?
I don't know. He had 2 surgeries. Well, right. He had something he was fighting through. And then when he got hurt, they just did both surgeries while he was in there. So
I'm seeing November. I mean, like if you get Jaden Reed back for like a December playoff, December, kind of end of the season, work him in for the playoffs. Like, I don't think they have really anyone dominant, but they have a lot of versatility with like Reed, Golden, Dobbs, Wicks, and Christian Watson, just kind of like rotating those guys in, and then Tucker Kraft, at tight end, and Emmanuel Wilson is playing really well too. He looked good at times. He's kind of like, he's not very quick. He's like kind of slow, but then like in the, I don't know, like the 4 to 7, 8 yard span, he seems like he picks up a little more steam and was like kind of hitting guys and like kind of moving through contact. But like 1 through 4, like he's real slow. Like he moves like a truck, just like takes him a little while to get ramped up, and then finally he's like okay. But I don't know. It's just like, well, I don't know if I'm impressed watching him, but he's playing better than he was earlier in his career.
He runs the 800. He's not a sprinter, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. He needs the full 2 laps to get himself going. Once he gets on, that second 400, he's fine. But yeah, you don't want him in the blocks to sprint. So yeah, like you said, there's not like a guy. It's probably Kraft, but there's just a lot of complementary pieces that are all above average. They all, I think, complement Love's skill set well too. A lot of yak, a lot of guys that can win deep. He loves to chuck it deep. They love to take those shots, and I still think really highly of the defense too, and they looked pretty good last night. I think Devontae Wyatt in the interior, getting him back, I think is really impactful. He was out for a couple weeks. He just allows them to do, I think, a lot of different things up front. And they got pretty creative with Micah, and you want to see that, right? Just don't stick Micah on the same side. Don't do what the Steelers do actually with TJ Watt. Is literally the same side every play. Like, move him around. Maybe put him as like a off-ball linebacker and have him blitz and pick up different spots. Like find the mismatches along the offensive line and put your best player there. Like I'm surprised the Steelers don't do that.
He had some interior rushes too that were awesome. Mm-hmm. Like he was like shredding the guards of the Steelers. Like he was just he was beating 2 guys at a time, like splitting the center and the guard and just ripping them. I thought that was pretty cool, is that they were just like moving him around a ton. He was wreaking havoc with pressure on Rodgers, even if he wasn't getting a sack. So I don't know. The way they're using him is awesome. The Packers' run defense, though, on outside runs kind of hurt them a little bit early in the game. Like Warren was sprung a couple, Gainwell sprung a couple, but the interior runs, like anytime they ran it inside, it was just like not going anywhere. So,
yeah. All right, that wraps up the week. Again, don't forget to check out SharpStack, free 7-day trial. Again, use Win NBA for $10 a month on top of your freebie. So again, 5 weeks, great trial. We'll love any feedback that you have there. You can pick off some stuff for again, Sports Equinox, some good Monday Night Football stuff as well. So if you have any questions, reach out to Connor and I directly, or follow us on Twitter at SharpStack there too. If you have any questions, we'd love your feedback there too. So appreciate everyone hanging out. Come back on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, for Prop Drop. Myself and Connor and Slop. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.